What's up, everybody? Do you wish you could learn from
What's
other
up?
people's mistakes and not have to make them yourself? Do you wish you had the
Yeah.
answers, maybe the owner's manual for life? Well, guess what? You're in luck because today's episode, Danny and I will be sharing with you some life hacks that we have learned over the past few years that help things
Oh,
get
yeah.
along very, very well. This is the Existential Stoic Podcast, episode 121. I'm Randy. That's Danny. What's going on, Danny?
What's up, Randy? I would say
Yes.
at least better too, right?
Oh yeah,
If not
absolutely.
all.
Because everybody's
Yeah.
gonna have different things that they've learned, but we read a lot, we talk about this stuff a lot, we think about this stuff a lot. So just kind of sitting down, we both sat down separately, picked out some of the best
Yeah.
hints, life hacks, you might call them, that we each have, and we just want to share them because hey, it's the new year. Why not start with some generosity?
Yeah, right. You gotta start with generosity and you also gotta focus on it's always good to focus on self-development right from out the gate on that new year, right? It's a new year,
Absolutely.
new chance. Do it.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess we'll just go back and forth naming them and maybe
Yeah.
talking about them. So the first one that I had when I wrote it down, it was because it was something that you taught me that was very insightful last week because I was about to give up doing something, and I remembered what you said one time where you're like, you can always give up, so why now? Like you can always quit, so why now? And like I remembered it in your
Yeah.
voice as I was going through that thing where I was about to give up because it I was in like a lot of pain, and it was just like it was troublesome, it was painful. I didn't want to do it, and then I heard your voice
Yeah.
that was like, "You can always give up, so why now?" And then I was like, "Oh, yeah, I don't have to give up now." And it's funny because like that point when I really wanted to give up, that was like the peak maximum badness of it.
Yeah.
That was the worst point.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was just like, okay, cool. But it was remembering that like you can always quit. So why quit
Yeah.
right now? Like just go another day, go another week, go whatever it is. And that was very helpful.
Yeah, it's funny how I love when that happens too, and you hear it in somebody else's voice too, because it is helpful. But yeah, I don't know. I always thought that way. I think it's a helpful way to think because it's like it takes the pressure off, sort of. It's like you still, if you still want to do it, you know you can always stop it later. If it becomes too much, becomes too difficult. But give yourself a little more time, try it out, keep going, and see. Because I think that's just it, right? It's always you're always at that peak where it's the absolute worst when you're thinking about it. And usually, if you can just get through it, things get better on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't, you'll regret giving it up if you do at that time. I think that's the important thing too.
True.
And it's always difficult, man.
Yeah.
Always difficult knowing when. I think stopping's hard.
Oh
It's
yeah.
funny. It's like yeah,
Knowing
I
when
thought
to
about that
quit
a
or
lot.
knowing
It's
when
like
to push through.
yeah, yeah. And I think most of the time if we just push through a little bit more, we find that we really don't want to quit.
Well, somebody said everything comes to the man who waits, but those who hustle and wait get it quicker. Or those who hustle while they're waiting get it quicker. Yeah. I mean, who knows? Who knows if we're actually in control of our lives or if things just
I
happen
know.
to us? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
The
That's
great
the other alternative
philosophical
too.
questions.
It is. Yeah, who knows if we have any free will at all, or it's just chance and randomness and nature. Yeah, it's that kind of goes to my first one a little bit too. My first one is like reducing friction. This idea I listened to a few things, talking about this, and it's big in behavioral economics, and everybody, all the companies do it to us all the time. But making just really, I think one way to think about reducing friction is just asking yourself the question of how can I make this easier? And starting to look at your life that way. Because I think a lot of us, say, we talk about this before, like so many people say, I can't, rather than asking, how can I? And I would even say, ask yourself, how can I make this easier instead? So if it's, you know, like I think I used an example like journaling at night, right? If you want to do that, well, keep your journal and your pen ready to go right at your bedside table. So there's literally nothing between you and the activity, or even just repetition. I noticed like I take walks every morning, regardless of the weather. And I started in the summer when it was nice because I knew it would be easier for me to keep up that habit when it's warm out than starting in the middle of the winter. And so then when it got started, the weather started to turn, I had already habituated it. And so it was much easier to continue going. I reduced the friction, in an activity and a habit that I wanted to cultivate. And I think it's a great way to think because it really helps us start thinking about, what we want in our lives and how to make that happen in a way that like is as simple as possible.
Yeah, it's a great point because we only have so much willpower. Like everybody thinks that you can
Yeah.
build up your willpower, but I'm pretty sure they've disproved that in a lot of scientific studies. Like some people have a little bit more than others, but for the most part, everybody just has about the same amount of willpower. And once it's gone, it's gone. So like you can either
Yeah.
waste it on things that you don't need to, like trying to pick out what outfit to wear today and trying to determine what to eat for lunch today and like all these little things, or you can just kind of automate that stuff. Maybe pick out all your outfits at the beginning of the week. Maybe cook all your meals at the beginning of the week, and then actually save that willpower and that thought power for things that are more important to you.
Yeah, that's a great example too, what you're going to wear, because people, stress so much about that. And I think it's like cutting, who was it? Was it Obama that got rid of like all of his suits except for like, I think 2 colors when he went into
Probably.
office?
Yeah, a
I
lot
think
of
it was
people
him.
do it.
Yeah.
Like Zuck
Yeah.
does it, and I
Yeah.
do it because it's just easy.
Yeah.
Like wear the same.
Yeah. You
And
just get
dude,
rid of it.
nobody even cares. I mean,
Dude, that's the
I'm
funny
sure
part.
if you're a girl, I'm sure if you're a girl, it's more difficult to wear the same thing every day. And I
Well,
sympathize.
social pressures too. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
guys,
That.
nobody cares. People are just like, oh, you wear the same thing every day. I'm like, yep. Have 2 jeans and 8 shirts. Same exact thing every day.
Yeah.
Don't have to waste any, like, there's never any thought
Well,
process that goes into it because it's just the same thing.
well, you know what the funny thing is too, though. Even if you want variety, you can also get stuff that all goes together. So there's literally no thought. You just boom, or even just pre-plan stuff. I mean, that's the other option too, is plan stuff out ahead of time. That way, each day, you have set time aside that you can plan this stuff. Or like, it's just like if you make all your meals on a Sunday night for the week, so you're prepared. You could just pick out your outfits and you're good to go. And then you don't have to make those decisions in the morning, and it reduces that stress. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a
Yeah,
good one.
it saves your mind for doing other stuff. So my next life hack is for those times when I'm feeling like overwhelmed and it's just like I just feel like the whole weight of the world on my shoulders, and I'm like, this is too much. I can't handle this. This is ridiculous. It's the idea of one day at a time. And this is such
Yeah.
a monumental mind shift, but it's so helpful because most of the times when I'm frustrated or when I'm overwhelmed, it's because I'm trying to somehow in my mind do it all right now. And that can't be done. Like the only thing I
Yeah.
can ever do is be right here. And the only day I can ever live is today. And there's no saying, like, as much in my mind as I think all this other stuff's going to exist, it just doesn't. So, like, I may never
Yeah.
make it to those days to be able to do that stuff, but all I can do is handle today. And today is just from when I get up out of bed to when I go to sleep. Can I handle today? And that's one of the best things because like every time I'm stressed out, I'm like, okay, one day at a time. I got 6 hours left today. What can I do today? And then it's just like, oh, piece of cake. I can get through to tonight. And then I
Yeah.
just have to do that over and over again. That's it.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I like that though, because it is true. I think most of us, I think that's our biggest challenge in life is we let our imaginations run about the future. And we start thinking like all these things we need to do or have to do. And you stress yourself out about these large goals rather than looking at the fact that they're all day by day. You're living now. You can't rush ahead to the future. You can't just magically make it happen. And it makes things a lot more bearable. I think I found myself thinking about that like not that long ago. I think as after we talked, because you told me to think that way, and it really does help because it's like, can I just get through the next hour? Can I just do this thing? And it's like it really does take the pressure off because you realize that all those big problems get handled by doing those little things step by step each day. Paying your bill this month, not worrying about the total, right? But looking at it like I just got to pay it now, and then I can deal with it next time. And you get it done. And you
Exactly.
start moving
Because by
forward.
the time you pay it off, the government's going to have printed so much money that it'll be, teeny.
Yeah, right. Make it stretch that shit out as long as you can.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. So my next one is actually I think this is good too for like because I was thinking here in terms of like starting or cultivating habits, like combining things that you enjoy with things that are difficult is also a really good way to motivate yourself. So like a good example of this is like if you really find starting to exercise hard. I heard this, only watch your favorite show when you exercise, or only listen to like your favorite podcast or your favorite music when you go for a walk. So combine this like a difficult thing with something really enjoyable, and it helps motivate you to do it. It makes it more fun. Good example of this is I remember when there was a time in my life where I was commuting an hour each way to work 5 days a week. And I started to listen to books on tape, unabridged, and it instantly made my car ride like I wanted to get in the car because I wanted to hear what was going to happen next. I'd find myself like sitting at work, like, I still got 5 minutes, sitting in the car listening, and like it totally transformed the drive. It made me less stressed. It made me more aware and alert of what I was doing, and it just you can really like, I think, make your life a lot better by just combining things that are enjoyable with the difficult stuff you got to do anyway.
Yeah, it's great. Like I love a bunch of books in the personal development niche. Like I love listening to that stuff. And so I combined it with going for walks in nature because I knew I needed to spend more time
Nice.
outside, like with fresh air.
Yeah.
And so then I get both at the same time. So yeah, it really does help. That's a great one.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah. So my next one is something that I forget from time to time, and it's really important because every time I remember it, my life, the quality and the enjoyment of my life increases by an order of magnitude. It's to
Ooh.
physically make yourself smile.
Uh,
This
Good
is
one.
it's the most
Yeah.
counterintuitive thing ever. And most of you who
Yeah.
are listening are probably like, that's garbage. It doesn't work. I don't want to smile. My life stinks. And it's like, yes, smile
Yeah.
anyways. Just every time you think about it, that you're not smiling, just smile. And because eventually, like they've shown that actions and emotions are related. Actions will cause emotions and emotions will cause actions. But
Yeah.
guess what? Actions are under your direct control. So if you smile, you're going to eventually be happy. And here's another cool thing for all the students who listen, you're actually more likely to learn and retain the information if you're smiling. So while you're sitting in class, put a pencil horizontally in your mouth and just listen, because that will force your mouth into a smile and you'll actually retain more information and learn more while you're doing that.
Huh.
Yeah.
They also found too that like, what is it? I know laughing is like if you laugh or you hear people laughing, you're more likely to laugh. Like it transfers from one person to the next. I think smiling is also that way. So you actually bring joy to other people too, which is nice. You
Totally.
make the world a little bit better. I like
Absolutely.
that one too because it's so simple.
And
And it
people
like
are, yeah.
well, I was
People,
gonna say it shows that connection between like our physical and our mental states too. I think are so important, that connection.
yeah, and people are so often like, but I don't want a fake smile. And it's like you just fake it till you make it. Like that's it. You
Yeah.
just fake it and eventually it'll be a real smile. And the coolest thing that I found is like when how like people stare at you and stuff like that in the street. If you just return a smile back to them, it messes with their mind. They're like, well, what's going on? Do I have something on my face? They're like, what? It's one of the best
That's a
things you
good one.
can do. Yeah.
It's funny too because I think like we all smile a lot when we're kids. You see kids, they smile all the time. So I think it's also like if you do it too, it's like muscle memory. You'll probably also like that positive state will return. I like that one. That's a good one. My next one is pretty straightforward, but I think it is. I wanted to mention because I think it's important. It's just you know practice things and have a routine. I think that is seriously important. And in fact, I in the last like 5 years, I've started being more attentive to my routine, and I think and to practicing things more. And I just noticed vast improvements in my life, my happiness, and my mental health because you know what to expect each day. It's not like each day is like this random set of events that you're responding to, but you have more control over everything in your day because you know what's happening. And I mean, you can do this, I think, look, routines can be, more stringent or less stringent. And I think I have a young dog, so mine accounts for that. It's like, I know I'm well aware that like it's not going to be that I'm going to like get up in the morning and be able to work for 2 hours, but you just, managing your day in a way where you have control of it, I think makes it so much better every day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think it was Aristotle who said we're all some of our habits or something along those lines. But the routine creates those habits and you get to choose your routine, which is the coolest thing
Yeah.
because then you get to become the person you want to be. And so if you choose good habits, you can have a really great life from that. And if you choose poor ones, then you'll have that life as well. But at least you get to choose.
Yeah, you get to make that decision, right? And I think, and for everybody, I think if you just like challenge yourself just to come up with like a small routine that you can do in the morning or something, and start doing it and commit to it for like a month, you'll start incorporating more and more in your life, because you realize that it is like, it's just better, I think.
And if anybody's looking for a routine that will instantaneously, within about 3 to 5 days, improve your life, what do we call it? The simple pleasures?
Small delights.
Small delights.
What's
There
up,
we
like,
go.
yeah, that's the one.
At the end of the
I
day,
love that
all
one.
you do before you go to
Yeah.
sleep is, in a journal, write down 3 highlights of your day. I'm grateful for this because of whatever, because I saw this sunrise and it reminded me that I'm part of this universe, whatever it is, and that way, not only did you get to live it during your day, but you get to relive it before you go to sleep, which will be on your consciousness as you're going to sleep. And then you'll be so much more grateful for life.
It's so funny too. I totally used to think the gratitude thing was such BS, and it's absolutely positively not. I'll admit I was totally wrong. And it's funny because like, it just sounded so simple. And I think but the amount of impact it has on your mental health and like your happiness is absurd. It's like, it's crazy.
I think I was the same boat, because for a while, especially when I was like in a funk, I was like, this doesn't work, because you would read these things and like, make a list of 100 things you're grateful for every day. And it's just like, number one, that's too much. Like, keep it simple. Three things. And if they're not great things to begin with, then just mediocre things. So like, the first thing was that it was too much. And the second thing was that people just didn't stick with it long enough. Stick with it for a week.
Yeah.
If after a week you're doing it and it doesn't improve your life at all, give it up. It's not meant for you. But do it for a week, because Danny and I both saw that, within the first week, we noticed a measurable increase in our enjoyment of life. And now for both of us, it's something we do all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because I started out with 3. And when I first started, it was like, I even said things like I had a good cup of coffee and stuff, because I had a hard time figuring. Now it's like, I think last night I wrote down like 15 things, and it took maybe 3 minutes. Like, it does not take long. And I think that's the other important thing to keep in mind, is like, keep it short so that you can get it done, but they just incorporate that, and you just do more and more, even if before you realize it, you'll be adding more and more to your list.
We would call that a good return on investment. Definitely.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So another one that I have is, everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to be good looking. Everybody wants to be fit. Everybody wants to have the best fashions and all this stuff. But here's the other thing, is be happy for other people's success, because we see what others have and we want that ourselves, which, maybe we'll be able to get, maybe we won't. But that creates this jealousy, this envy, negative feelings. Instead, when you see it in other people and you're grateful that they've already gotten it, and you can actually celebrate in their success or in their good fortune with them, not only do you get to have a great relationship with them from doing that, if you even interact with them, but it can just be people you see on the street. Like, maybe you see like a really beautiful woman or a handsome man or something like that. And instead of being jealous, being like, why are they so good looking and I'm this schlep? You can be like, wow, look at that. They got blessed with beauty. How about that? Good for them. I bet they feel great when they look in the mirror. And like, you can start to celebrate other people's success. And I saw this myself around the realm of money, because for a while, I was looking at it like, oh, I had the student debt and there's these other people who are millionaires and this stuff just isn't fair. Like, what the heck happened? This shouldn't be like this. And then I just started celebrating other people who had made it financially. And like, things switched when I did that, because all of a sudden, instead of being jealous and greedy and kind of energetically pushing away what I wanted, all of a sudden I was like, hey, this is fantastic. Like, they probably had to work very hard for it, but they did it. And now they can enjoy it. I'm going to be there too.
Well, I think that's so important too, because you don't realize how much energy and negativity you're sort of pushing on, or that's caused because of this one thing, right? And I know exactly what you mean. Like, we all get caught up in this, where we feel like our situation's unfair. Other people were just lucky, And maybe they were, maybe, who knows, whatever. It doesn't matter though. And the point is that like you end up wasting so much time and energy on that and thinking of yourself as a victim, as unlucky, that you end up making that a reality. And I think that's such a good one, because we really have to be careful about how we think, because how we think will become real in the world. It really affects us. And I think it's just so crucial. I like that one a lot. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a good one. My next one is, let's see. Oh, you know what? I wrote this one down just last night, like just thinking about it. But I know this sounds silly, but just if you have things stressing you, just deal with it now. Don't wait. I think sounds stupid, but it's important because I still struggle with this. But like we all face this, like whether it's something happens in your relationship and you're uncertain about something, or maybe you feel slighted or jealous, or whether it's your student loan debt's overwhelming. Don't push off making that phone call. Don't push off talking to your partner. Just do it now, because if you do it now, you realize 99.9% of the time that it's not what you imagined. It's not as bad as you imagined, and you don't waste all those days with that on your mind, getting in the way of your concentration, your moving forward, and your health. Just get it the hell over with.
That's a great advice. And like the funny thing about stress is I heard it in this book, Get Out of Your Own Way, where basically most of the things that cause us stress, if not all of the things, we know what we should do and we're not doing it.
So yeah, dude, all of them. It's all of them. It's
yeah.
every single fucking one.
So it's not like we need to learn something new or we need to go be somewhere else or be, it's like anything, all of those things that are stressing us now are completely within our own ability to deal with right now. We just need to actually do it, because most of the time it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Dude, I was thinking about this the other day, because I was thinking about, it's funny, like when I was really depressed, like I noticed like everything was hard. Like, I had to call my doctor, I'd put it off, or I had to, make a phone call to deal with a bill, I'd put it off, right? And but it just snowballs, and all of that stuff, it's almost like you're making this own shitty bed to lay in, and you're making it worse and worse every day. And it's like, once you start dealing with those things, you realize like, it's like all of it was just, so much of it is in your head. It's insane. And I think just dealing with it gets it out of the way, and you free up yourself for everything else. And you also free up your mind to actually be present in the moment and actually enjoy your life.
Yeah. And like dealing with stress, I noticed recently with it after I heard it in that book, just like when you are stressed, just asking yourself, why am I stressed? What
That's a good one too. Yeah.
what should I do about it? Or what do I know I should do about it? What am I not doing about it? And then just because that's basically the answers you need are right there. You figure out why you're stressed, you know what you should be doing, and you know what you're not doing, and then you can just start doing that. And like instantaneously, I had something a few weeks ago where I was extremely stressed because I was putting off doing some work I needed to do. And like it was stressing me for probably weeks because I was putting off this work. And then that night when I heard that in the book, I recognized that I needed to do that work. I started doing that work. The stress was gone immediately.
Dude, I did the same thing. I had this project that I took on that I don't like, and I was putting it off and stressing out about it. And then I realized what it was and started doing it, and I feel better. I feel so much better. And it's so funny because it's like, it's one of those things that you have to constantly go back to and remind yourself all the time, because we all do it. And it's like, it convinces me, I think, that all of our stress is self-imposed. Like, I swear it has to be. It's amazing how much better you feel when you just deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
It really
Absolutely. Absolutely. So my next one comes from good old Ben Franklin. He always preached industry and frugality. And I think this is really important. Like, I've read tons of books on money, and for me it's an important subject, and I'm sure for a lot of people as well.
I'm surprised Ford didn't say that.
Right? Well, Ford was just really good on the industry part. And yeah. And probably because Franklin already said it, so he didn't need to repeat
That's true. He didn't need to, yeah.
But because it basically conquers like both parts of making money. It's like, in order to do good at sports, you need a good offense, but you also need a good defense. And with money, it's the same thing. You need a good offense, you need a good defense. And with making money, Like the industry is how you make money. And I'm not saying like you need to go build like an industry. I'm just saying you need to work. Like if you want to make money, you got to work. And then if you want to keep your money, you got to be frugal. You can't go blowing it all over the place. So those are like, even though it's simple, everybody wants a complex solution about money. They're like, no, but if I just do this thing, then I'll make so much money. I won't have to think about it. And like, yeah, you could do that. Or you could start where you are now and work harder and be more frugal with your money.
You know, it's funny too. It's like we live in a world where we're constantly getting pressure from ads, from, industry to buy things, and they make things appealing, and like reminding yourself too how much that's a factor in how you spend your money. Because like I was just thinking about this the other day, like, whatever you're interested in, there's always going to be tons of stuff coming out that you can purchase for it, right? And stepping back and asking yourself, like, what do I really need? Do I really need a $2,000? Do I really need a $5,000 gaming computer? Like, do I really, like, what are you doing with it, and what do you actually need? And getting that, and not worrying about all the other stuff and trying to keep up with the Joneses too, because I think that really does, it destroys people, because you get caught up in this cycle of just debt instead of really looking at, making that money work for you, and actually, amounting some massive money, saving it.
And it's something like most people want to win the lottery, and
Yeah.
the lottery is just a tax on people who can't do math. But like, if you actually start learning about money, you have, and implementing what you learn, you have a 99% chance to succeed with money. Whereas if you just keep gambling, you have a 1% chance. And I'm rounding up significantly.
Yeah,
but like, here's the thing: do you want the 99% chance, or do you want the 1% chance? Because again, the choice is always up to you.
That's a good one, though.
Yeah,
it's so funny, and that's the other thing too. I think it's like that. It's also that whole mentality too of victimization and stuff, and finding excuses rather than taking, really just taking control and acting in the world and making our situation better ourselves. I like that one a lot. Let's see. My next one is well, this is kind of more of a philosophical one, but I think it's important anyway to mention. Remind yourself that meaning is just a construct. That all these things we believe, and I'm not talking about facts, and I'm not talking about like, observation in that sense. I'm talking about the meanings we give to things. The why is a construct. Where there's a lot of outside forces trying to convince us to look at the world a certain way. But the only way to live your own life is to think for yourself. And if you remember that it's just a construct, it's something that we create, it frees you to create your own. And I think that's hugely important.
Yeah, that's really important. And one thing that helps me kind of think along those same lines is like going to a cemetery and recognizing that like all those people there at one time were the same living flesh as I am right here. And right now they're all there. And that's going to be me one day. So like, whatever I think is troubling me here, one day it's not going to. So like, need to make sure that the things that are troubling me are important.
We all get a break eventually, right? It's it's funny too. It's like, I know it sounds dark, but I always think too, like, like that's the other important thing is this all ends. And at the end of the day, none of it matters, not even a little, once it's over. So keep that in mind. Dude, make it yourself.
That's the crazy thing. Like, people are so like up in arms about Elon Musk or politicians or global warming or all these things. And guess what? In 100 million years, it's nothing. Nobody cares. So like,
dude, the Earth probably won't even, it might not even be here in that long, it's like, that's it.
Yeah, but like that long ago, dinosaurs were here, So like, it's just like, crazy. It's just, and if it's not this Earth, it'll be somewhere else. So it's just like, no need to worry about anything.
Hey, you can try as hard as you can too. You can't take that crap with you. So,
yeah. So the next one that I have is kind of like a little mantra that I repeat to myself.
All right.
It's from the book Naval Ravikant's brother. Naval Ravikant is a very, very good investor. He started AngelList. His brother, Kamal Ravikant, wrote a book called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. And it's a really good book, a very quick read.
Yeah, right.
And in it, he talks about just saying to yourself over and over again, I love myself. And so I have it part of like a two-part thing that I do, where when I'm just like standing around somewhere, like waiting for an elevator or walking by myself, or whatever, or even if I notice I'm stressed, as I breathe in, I say I love myself, and as I breathe out, I just focus on relaxing. And I heard that if you can
Mhm.
relax your eyes, like your eyes are some of the most tense muscles. So if you can focus on relaxing your eyes, the rest of you will relax as well. So uh, I just do it, breathe in, I love myself, and breathe out, relax, and just try and focus on relaxing my eyes as much as possible. And that is just something that whenever I have spare time, like I want that to be my life mantra, just to remind myself that I love myself. Because I'm born alone, I'll die alone. And like I interact with other people, and it's important to love other people, but you gotta love yourself first. So like constantly reminding myself that is very important.
Well, we're also so hard on ourselves too, and I think that's a great way to help yourself, to remind yourself too that you don't need to be. That you should start with loving yourself at least first. I also like that too because with the breathing exercise that you do with it, that reminds me too of the one where when you breathe in, you imagine that you're breathing in positivity or something good, and you're exhaling the negativity or the bad, right? And I think that's a very nice twist on that too because it's a very focused, way of thinking too about like kind of improving your attitude, your positivity, and your self-respect, and your dignity, right, is tied to your own self-love, and I think that's crucial, and your confidence. So it's a good one. I like that. Um, my next one too is just that oh, this is an important one, and it's say talk, don't assume. I think this is an important one for me, especially too. Is like I have a tendency to I want things to be faster. So I'll just assume things rather than asking people, or I'll assume things about others or about how they'll do it, or even about what they expect from me rather than just flat out asking. And I think, we forget how important it is. We can communicate with words. We have languages. We have all these conceptual ideas at our fingertips. Use them. It's just easier. If you're unsure, just ask. Don't be afraid, just ask. It doesn't matter who you're interacting with, whether it's work, significant other, friends, it doesn't make a difference. Just use your words, verbalize it, and it makes everything easier for everybody.
That's a great one. Yeah, because most of the time we just assume, and you know what happens when you assume.
Yep.
but but another thing is also asking multiple times, because
Yeah.
oftentimes the first reason that people give is kind of like one that makes them look good, and then the second
Yeah.
reason will be like the reason that they're supposed to give, and then the third thing is actually what's going on. So like especially around important topics, it can be helpful to ask multiple times. Just be like, is there anything else? Like, I can tell what else is going on. It's just
Yeah.
to
No,
help get to the heart of the issue.
that's a good point too. Yeah, because most people, there's that social pressure not to admit that there's a problem or not to admit that something's wrong. And with that too, you should also say, listen, actually listen to what's being said to you. Yeah, yeah, that's important as well. You can
Absolutely.
talk all you want, but you should probably also hear what's being said.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So my next life hack comes from that book Dare that we read, which
Oh, that's a good
has
one.
has a whole system, but like the first part of the system is just saying whatever. It's for dealing with anxiety and worry and things like that. And I just find that like saying whatever to these issues, these anxieties that come up is so helpful because it completely diffuses it right there. So like oftentimes we'll get stuck in these mental loops of like, what happens if this happens, and then I can't do this, and then this happens, and this terrible thing happens, and then all my life is over,
Yeah.
you know and like just being like, what, whatever, if it happens,
Yeah.
whatever, I'll deal with it, whatever, and just getting in the
Mhm.
in the habit of saying whatever, like completely diffuses the tension, because then you don't have to figure it out, because
Yeah.
the truth is you'll figure it out if it ever happens. But why bother wasting mental energy now trying to figure it out when you don't need to? You'll be much better figuring it out when it actually happens. So just say whatever and be done with your day. But also read that book Dare, because I think for every person on the planet, you could benefit from reading that book.
That was a good book too. Yeah. And I really like that one too. It's just, that whole idea of just diffusing it and stripping it of its power over you. When you say whatever, you just kind of make it like doesn't matter that much, right? You'll deal with it when you deal with it. You'll deal with it when the time comes instead of, and I think it's funny, but a lot of things we've already mentioned, it really ties into this idea that so much of it is our imagination and our attitude. And it's so much of it is really just reminding yourself that you can do these things in the moment. It's not what it seems, and facing the reality that's there rather than what you think it might be. I think
Isn't
it's
it?
it's just, but it's something we all struggle with.
Isn't it funny? We
It's
just
crazy.
think all the time we're not going to be able to handle what life throws at us, and yet every time we're always able to get through it.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. And it's the funny part is like, too, it's like almost no matter how hard it is, people still handle it. Like, that's the other crazy part. Like, if you really think about it, like, it, situations can be horrific, and yet people still live and they still survive and they do it. So it's like, really, we're probably not doing that bad, all things considered, you know?
Oh, I mean, or there's the other option because, like, if you don't handle it, you die. So, like,
Yeah,
great, you have this release of chemicals that make you feel great, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. So, like,
yeah,
what's the
you
point
get
of
that right.
worrying?
Yeah, there's literally nothing to worry about. I
Yeah.
like that. Um, I guess so. These are kind of like my last two, but I want to combine them. Is I think
Okay.
so. I think cultivate hobbies. I think they're super important because I think lifelong learning is like crucial. It's been proven that if you pursue new things and learn throughout your life, you actually it's a way to create new neurons and new neural connections, so that can help either offset or mitigate a little bit of dementia or Alzheimer's if you're prone to that and whatever. So it can help protect your mind in the future. Um, and beyond that, also do what excites you. And I think that that's important, broadly speaking. But I think with hobbies are such a good way to explore also what actually interests you. I think we all struggle with this, right? Choosing something, especially like with careers or work, is hard because it's so much time commitment that you don't want to pick the wrong thing. But if you realize you can explore all kinds of stuff in hobbies, it's low stakes, low pressure, and you can always change what you're doing later on. And so you can create that life, even if you don't have it now, you can create it later and you can do what excites you. And that makes life so much better, I think, day by day.
Yeah, that's a great one. One of my ones was learn as well, and learning about what
Yeah.
excites you is,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's one of the biggest hurdles why people stop learning, because we go to school where we're forced to learn this boring rote memorization stuff that nobody cares about and isn't impactful in
Yeah.
your life at all. And most people are like, if that's learning, it's not for me. Like, I don't care. That's not learning. What I remember, like, the first time I read a book that I actually enjoyed, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
This isn't the
Yeah.
Scarlet Letter. This isn't like the Canterbury Tales,
Yeah.
like something that's ridiculously hard to read. This is something that I enjoy and I can learn something from it and I can do it as much as I want. You got to be kidding me. And then it was just like a whole new world. So I think those are really important, as you mentioned, like learning and doing what excites you.
It's funny that we both trashed the Scarlet Letter so often because we both had to read it in high school. And
Yeah.
like I don't even remember I honestly don't remember it because it was just like whatever, but it's just funny. Yeah, no, it's true though. I think I encourage people, like, whether it's like starting small projects, getting out there, just trying something that forces you to learn new things, and it's enjoyable, it's fun, and yeah, and it just, you never know too. What excites me about it too is you never know what's gonna really like make you excited and make you want to just pursue it more. And if you find that thing, you'll keep doing it. Doesn't matter what you have to do, you'll find a way to do it. I think that's always a good thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So my last one, and this is actually from How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is probably one of like the
Oh,
best known personal development books.
yeah.
And in that book, he says, if you get one thing from this book, it should be this. So this is like the penultimate of the penultimate ultimate tip ever. Okay.
The crucial point.
The
Yeah.
crucial tip, which is a gift for everybody who's stuck around through the whole episode. We do appreciate it. This
Oh,
one thing, he says, if you can do this, you'll be set for life. And it's the ability to put yourself in other people's shoes.
God, yeah.
He says, out of everything you can do, if you can do this thing, it will open doors for you like you won't believe. Because everybody, like, we all have this it's like the bias of things that are close to us. Like, our problems are more important than everybody else's. And so
Mm.
everybody's suffering from that at the same time. So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
if you can actually put yourself into other people's shoes and realize that their problems are the worst problems in the world for them,
Mm.
then you can relate to them so much better.
You know what's funny too? It's so true, and it makes all your relationships so much better. But it's also something like I find I have to remind myself all the time, because like you said, we all think our stuff is the most important. And it's so because we're subjects experiencing the world, right? Everything else is an object of our experience. So it's very hard. But once you remind yourself and you just think that way, it makes everything so much, because most people have a reason why they do things. So usually, again, don't assume, right? And try and put yourself in the place. I think that's such a good point. It's a good place to end too. I like that.
Yeah, it's great. Like
We'd
I
all be a little
remember,
better if we did that.
yeah, I remember you gave me that advice quite a while ago where I was having issues forgiving someone, and you were like, "Well, put yourself in their shoes, like see it from their point of view, and write that out." And I did that, and it just like
Yeah.
opened up the door for me because I saw all the areas where it was totally 100% my responsibility and not their fault. And before I did that, I didn't see it at all. So yeah,
Yeah, writing it out is a good way too, because you can imagine it, and you don't have to worry about anybody else knowing if you don't want to, and you can imagine it and really explore different possibilities. But every time I do that, I always realize I'm like, oh my God, it's totally me. I'm totally failing to even consider their perspective or their emotions or anything. It's like, it is funny. It's
yeah,
hard.
yeah. So there you have it.
Nice.
2022 life hacks on the Existential Stoic podcast. Thank you so
Boom.
much for listening or for watching. You can check us out on all the podcasts and also on YouTube as well. I'm Randy. That's Danny. I'll see you later, Danny.
Later, Andy.